Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today we are going to look through an antique store. This antique store is in an old church, which I thought was really cool. I had driven by this quite a few times, and I never really knew if it was like open because it never looked open, but I finally looked up the hours, so here we are. I love these big old doors, and I like that they're actually the full thing is a door. A lot of times they'll have like a door within this big door that you go through, but it was really neat. They had this old standing desk as soon as you walked in, which caught my attention. And I do like that he seemed to have tags on everything with the prices. Sometimes it would say like the year that it was from, which was cool. The man who owns it was so nice. John is a very extroverted person, whereas I'm very introverted. So John just struck up a conversation with the guy as soon as we walked in. And I think they talked for a solid 20 minutes before John even looked at anything, but I tried to show you kind of what the church looked like inside. I think I've mentioned probably multiple times before, but I'm not religious at all, but I do really appreciate the like architecture of old churches. So they had another desk right at the front here. I believe that these are called secretary desks. I love these kind of desks. They had actually quite a few in this store, so I was excited to see that. I'll be honest, what was in this store is really not like my style, but it was still really fun to go and look. I truthfully rarely ever go to antique stores because I'm just not that interested in spending a ton of money on vintage things. I like being able to just find them for a lot cheaper. However, I thought it would be interesting content, and we have so many close to us. But I did actually really enjoy going in, even though it wasn't my style. They had this organ in here too that said it wasn't for sale, and I'm thinking maybe it was original to the church. I don't know. I just think it'd be weird if they had an organ in there and it wasn't for sale, like why they would bring one in. But if it was already there, it would make sense that maybe they just wanted to keep it there in the church, which I thought was neat. So they had a lot of dressers and desks and china cabinets in here, which was really nice. I would say the overall vibe was more of like a Victorian era, or maybe like early 1900s, late 1800s. Kind of a vibe, which isn't really mine at all, but I did enjoy looking at it. And I'm thinking about going to, or I'm trying to look up all of the antique stores that are within like a driving range to me, and then maybe start trying to go visit them over the next, I don't know, few months, I guess. It was really fun looking, so I guess I've changed my mind slightly about antique stores, but my aesthetic is more like mid-century, and I did find a store that is like mid-century exclusive, which we're going to try to go to later this month. I actually have a bunch of exciting things that I'm gonna try to do like later at the end of the month, so we'll probably see those videos in July, but I'm just really excited. So anyway, I love this vanity so much. I would say this is probably the most like mid-century-esque thing that might have been in the store, because this definitely reminds me of more of like a 50s and 60s vibe with the kind of like blonde wood. But I love it so much. It had a bunch of cute things on top of it too, but it had these really amazing like light set. I thought it might have just come with the vanity, but it was actually being sold separate. But I do think it fits the vanity really well, so I don't know if they were originally together or not, but yeah, I love this. I would love to have one of these eventually sometime. I don't really have room for one right now, but it's like one of my top things that I would love to have. I think there's like a similar style that's called like a waterfall style. I like that as well. I think they actually had maybe like at least one or two more vanities in here. I can't remember because there was so many different like vanities and dressers and china cabinets, but there was definitely a lot of interesting things to look at. A lot of like furniture that was just, I feel like old furniture is just so beautiful. There's so much work put into it. and you just don't see that now. So, and it's interesting that all of this stuff is still around, whereas things that are being made today are probably going to be garbage in 20 years at most. I think the quality of goods, and I guess service to a degree as well, is the thing that I miss the most about like previous times, because now everything just feels like it's made to wear out and break down very quickly, so that you have to buy more. I thought those bowls looked interesting, but for some reason I didn't look at the bottom to see like who made them, but I've never seen them before. But I did like this little leaf dish. I thought that was nice. I loved all of the furniture in here though. And then I believe this was a sewing table, or maybe not table, but okay, it does actually say table, so I'm not crazy, but it's, I think, like, meant to store all of your sewing supplies and things. Here's another vanity that I don't like this one as much, this style, but I mean, it's still really beautiful. I liked how it had the 3 mirrors. Actually, I think this might be referred to as a dressing table more so than a vanity, but you could definitely sit there and do your makeup as well. I thought the little sheriff cookie jar was interesting looking. And then next to that, there was another, I think this is more so like a writing desk where you lift up that piece. But it might have had, I didn't look inside, but it might have also had the little section-y pieces, but it's definitely a lot smaller than the other desks. And then in the back here, we've just got this massive china cabinet. It's so beautiful. I had this really pretty chair next to it. The cabinet was filled mostly with like figurines, like porcelain or china figurines, which apparently I didn't get another shot of. I just moved on, I guess. I noticed this like umbrella stand coat rack, I guess it would be, but it was filled with a bunch of canes. And there was just so much to look at. This is not at all what I was expecting when I came in. Like, I didn't think it would be this much stuff. I thought this teapot was a really pretty color of blue. They had a lot of chairs in here as well. I will say that as well. A lot of really beautiful, like, carved wood chairs. And then on the back wall, they had a few more. They had this beautiful, very, very tall corner china cabinet. It's just gorgeous. And it looked to be the same color as this buffet, like same wood color. So I don't know if they went together or not, but the buffet was beautiful as well. They did have quite a few tables in here as well. I don't think there was anything extraordinary about any of the tables from what I'm remembering, but I mean, I guess the chairs did have a lot of detail, but I did really like the windows in this church. I thought they were really beautiful, and I love the exposed beams. So I think I show you a few more times in the video. I did really like this cabinet as well. It was really beautiful. And then I noticed this, what I thought looked like a magazine rack maybe, but it was kind of big at the same time for magazines. But I know magazines were larger in size. Like, I have some from the 50s that are a lot bigger than the size that's standard now. So I was like, I guess maybe it could be. I don't know, it just looked weird. I guess it looked more Victorian, so whereas I'm used to the mid-century ones. This china cabinet was massive. I pictured this being in like an old farmhouse or something. So beautiful. It had just a lot of different plates and things in there. It had some like royal plates in there. I noticed this fireplace screen, and then they did have a lot of, I think it's called cane chairs. And then I noticed this one down here, and I thought, oh, that looks similar to the other one. And then I think this one did on the tag say that it was for magazines or music, which then I thought, oh, that makes sense. Records would definitely fit easily in here. And then I noticed when I was looking, you can't see it from the road, but I noticed when I was over here that there's actually a graveyard out next to the church, kind of going down the slope so you couldn't see it from the road. I thought this lamp was really beautiful too. Not sure what era this would be from, but it's really pretty. And then they had 2 oil lamps on this table that were matching, and I grew up with oil lamps in our home, so it always, like, I never really see them anymore or think about them, but when I do, I instantly think about being a child. So now I'm trying to give you another kind of like overall shot. This place was massive. It's a pretty small church, like by my standards, but it does fit a lot once you don't have like all of the pews in there, I guess. And then also, I don't think I mentioned, but the whole basement was filled as well, which I did go down and film. That's why I didn't spend too much time on any particular thing, just because I knew that the video would end up being really long, just kind of briefly going over things, which it's probably going to be like over a half hour. In hindsight, I probably could have just made 2 different videos and spent more time on each floor, but I didn't like know that at the time, so I just went with it. I feel like half hour is kind of long for a video, so I didn't want to make it longer than that. They had this really nice silverware set in the case. Things like this just remind me of how like fancy and grand things were at one time. I don't know. And then I noticed that it was on this like couch. It's like red velvet couch. It's really pretty. I wanted to try and get as many kind of overall shots as I could, but I love this. I love the big round window there at the very top. So pretty. So then in this cabinet, I noticed I have the exact same swan, but it's green. And then up here on the very top of this cabinet, I noticed these 3 frogs, which I think are the most out of place thing in the whole place. I mean, maybe they are old, I don't know, but that my stepmom, I don't know if she still does, but I remember at one point she was collecting frogs, so it made me think of her. And then I just had to give you another shot of the beams there. It's just so beautiful. There seemed to just be a random assortment on top of that chest there, and then across from that was another chest full of some random things, but I did notice some PYREX, so I believe that big yellow one was the base of the PYREX primaries, and then I had a smaller brown one there, and then just kind of more random things along these, I want to say chests, but I think these might have actually been pews now. I loved this box. I'm actually still thinking about it. Now that I'm looking at it too, I do believe this was like a church pew that all that stuff was on. Some more tables here in the middle. And then while I was standing here, I thought about the PYREX, like the small brown bowl, so I went back to look at it. I was thinking, should I get that? But it ended up being not in the greatest of condition, so I just decided to pass on it. And then we have this other beautiful secretary desk. I keep calling it a secretary desk, so I hope that's what it is, but I do feel pretty confident it is. This one I think was my favorite out of all of the ones they had. It was just so beautiful. It had so many little compartments, and I mean, I have absolutely no use for a desk like this, but for some reason I also want to have one. And I think there might have been some old letter holders on the desk there. I'm assuming. They look like butter knives, but I think they're probably letter openers because that would be weird to have butter knives on the desk. So then I'm just sort of giving you like an overall shot again because it's just so beautiful. And then I think I went to the back so I could show you from the opposite side. Yeah, so you can see There's stairs going up there into like a little landing. I'm thinking like possibly maybe like a choir or something might have been up there. I know sometimes in churches they'll have spaces like that that are closed off for like quiet places, but that obviously wasn't the case there. But I couldn't get over how beautiful it was between like all of the beautiful furniture and then just the church itself. I definitely had a really good time out doing this for someone who never really goes to antique stores. This buffet table was also really beautiful. I think that like middle thing is used for soup. There's so many things I'm noticing now though that I didn't notice while I was there while I'm watching the footage. But this chair was very interesting. It had very big wooden arms. It had kind of like an oriental print on it as well. I noticed this like child-sized chaise lounge. I was pointing at it and telling John that we could get that for our cat because she loves sleeping on the couch. And then John looked at the tag afterwards, and I think he said it was from 1890, which I didn't think it was that old. So definitely wouldn't want to let your pet sleep on something that's like 130 years old. They had some quilts there, but then they had this really beautiful table that I hadn't noticed when I was walking in, but it has all this carving. I think it would probably be for like an entryway type table. And then another wicker chair here, and then back there. So we're back by the organ, but then the stairs to go downstairs were there. So they were really steep, but there was so much more down here than I ever thought was going to be. So as you can see from the overview there was a ton of stuff down here. I didn't even think that there was a basement or anything. I wasn't expecting that when we were going into this, but it was definitely really cool. So we've got this couch down here, which didn't look too old to me, and then there was a dresser there, and then in the corner there's this table. This is like a certain type of table, but I can't remember what it's called, but my grandma has one. And then on top it had this, what I thought was like peach, like lusterware, but I think it actually had a different name on it. But I loved this. I feel like those two shelves would match my bathroom perfectly, and I guess the vase too, but I don't have room for them though, but I thought they were really pretty. Definitely like a very mid-century-esque feel to it. This lamp was really pretty too. This like jester thing was a little weird. I was secretly hoping while we were upstairs after he told us about the basement that the basement would be filled with more like 50s and 60s stuff, but it wasn't really. But I definitely feel like the nicest of things were on the first level. I loved these 3 little pictures. I thought they were so cute, and it was a great price, all 3 for $5. But I was trying to think of where I could possibly put them in the house, but I just couldn't think of where I could put them, so I decided to pass on those. But I'm still thinking about them because I thought they were so cute, but I still can't think of where I could possibly put them in the house, so I guess it wasn't meant to be. So over in the corner they had another like big dresser with like a top part, which is really grand. And they had a few bed frames over there as well. This like brass one, and there was a wooden one, really pretty. And then I noticed one of those, I don't want to say creepy, but a little creepy. I just feel like it's disrespectful to say creepy, but one of these paintings, pictures where it's just like a person's face. I don't know what it is, but they always seem to look so serious. Maybe smiling just wasn't like a common thing people did in photos, but it has the, I think it's convex glass. So it almost looks like the person is like inside this bubble staring at you. That's what I always think. And I just find them, I guess haunting is a better word versus creepy. It's like haunting. It feels like there's a person looking right at you. I did really love this bowl. This gave me very like mid-century vibes. This stand just had a lot of dishes and things. I had some china there. There was a couple of those milk glass vases as well. I have so many of those. This stand looked like, or reminded me of, maybe like a one that had like a stereo inside of it, but I'm not sure. But it did look like the top lifted up, so I'm guessing that's probably what it was for. This dresser had a lot of miscellaneous kind of glassware and things, and then on this dresser they had this old detergent box, which I thought was really cool. It definitely looked very 1950s just by the illustrations. I'd never heard of this brand before though, so I wasn't sure, but it definitely, the illustration reminded me of the 50s for sure. So I guess we could say it was a little more mid-century down here, because there was a few other things too, but this dresser, we used to actually have one that was very similar to that, but we got rid of it. This dresser was really pretty too, with all the carved detail on the top there. They just don't make furniture and things as nice as they used to. There's this little table here. There was little like tables and chairs down here as well. But I thought I'd give you kind of like an overview from the corner. They had some built-in shelves down here, and I noticed this, the king and queen on the like metal tin tray, and then some like teapots, cream and sugar, stuff like that. I noticed this bench, but then I thought, oh, this might have been like original to the church, and it might have been like painted. It definitely kind of has like a pew vibe, but maybe not like as nice as like the one that we saw upstairs. And then I did notice there was one, that little, it has all the jugs on it. I think that was a pew as well. I'm guessing these pews would be original to this church. Otherwise, that would be a weird coincidence. I noticed this hat box that I thought was really pretty, and it still had this little tag on the top, which I think might have been like a travel related thing. It was like ripped though, so I couldn't really make anything out, but it was in pretty rough shape inside, so I don't know how old it would have been, but I thought it was pretty. I did just pause recording for a minute so I could look up that name that was on the box, and it is from the 1950s. And I saw the exact same one on eBay selling for $40 right now, so I wasn't really sure what touring maps mean, but I thought this looked interesting and very mid-century. And then through the bench, when I looked over, I noticed this chair, which I'm pretty sure these were used like as toilets. I mean, why else would you have like a hole like that in there? So yeah, it was interesting. So then John came over and was talking to me and asking if I had noticed the like 1950s table back in the corner, and I was like, no, I haven't. So then we walked back over to have a look at it. It's in pretty rough shape, but it was only $40. But this is like the perfect size table that would fit in our kitchen when we renovate it. So I was talking about like, oh, this would be the perfect size, and we were debating on whether or not we should buy it. But we're probably not going to renovate the kitchen for quite a few more years because we have other things that are more important. So we're like, do we really want to buy a table and store it for like 4 years? But it is the perfect size. And I just thought it was cute, so I just showed it. And then on my way out, I noticed this desk that is very mid-century that I really, really liked a lot. But I mean, I already have a desk, so I don't really need it, but I don't know, it was like perfect. I tried to open the drawer here, but it didn't want to open, but I did get the other one open. I noticed these Christmas plates there. I have a matching like cake plate, so I was briefly considering whether or not I should get them or not, but this big box, I don't know if it's supposed to be like for money or something. I did open it. It didn't have any tray or anything in it, but it really did look pretty old. So on the other side, they had built-ins as well. And I noticed these 2 glass milk bottles there caught my eye. I think I was just talking about these in like one of my more recent videos because my grandma used to get milk that way. I noticed this M&M tin, which seemed very out of place. I think it was from 1997, so I guess not that old, but I guess that is 25 years ago. That hurts me a little to say that. And then on this bench here, I noticed that they had a bunch of records for $1, but I did look at them, but I don't need any more, so I definitely didn't get any. And then I noticed this picture of this shipwreck here, like in various photos, and then I noticed this like note next to it, which I thought was an interesting thing to have. The note looks quite damaged, but definitely be a cool conversation piece for sure. And then I noticed this vanity. This one I love. This is so my style and aesthetic. I want one so bad. Definitely like super mid-century. I loved these lamps too. I thought they were very interesting looking. It's very different. I thought the little colored parts were maybe made of paper, but they were made of like a metal. Just so beautiful. I want one so bad. So then they had a bookshelf over in the corner filled with books, which I didn't look at the books, but I did notice on top that they had this old cherry brandy bottle, which is cool. I have so many books right now that I want to like read a whole bunch before I get any more. And I noticed this, what I think is like a bed tray. It was a really pretty color though. The more that I looked at it, the more I was thinking, oh, I could totally use this. Oh, this would be so handy. Oh, I love this. And then I saw the price and I was like, no, I don't need this. And then after that, I noticed how nice the dresser was that it was on. I liked that a lot. And then I noticed this lamp from across the room, so I went to get a better look at that. I'm not sure what kind of era this would have been from, but I thought that was nice. And then I noticed some magazines, old magazines, so I stopped to look at those. But there wasn't anything I was interested in, but then I did notice these really old books. Like, they look very old. I tried to look for a year, but I couldn't find one. They're pretty reasonably priced as well. And then I noticed that they actually had a Bambi one, but they were in pretty rough shape. Like that one was missing kind of the spine, but I don't know. I wish they would have had a year on them, but they were cool to see. So John had looked at the books and he had pulled this Carol Burnett book for me because I love Carol Burnett, but I decided to put it back because even though it was only like $2, I think, just because I already have one that I haven't read yet, a different one. So, and then on the way back from putting that out, I noticed this old phone, which it definitely does look old, but it's like not a cute old phone in my opinion. And then we went back upstairs to like pay, and I noticed this was close to the cash register, so I wanted to show that. And then had this other cabinet right next to the cash area that had a bunch of nice china in it, so I wanted to show that too. And then I noticed right behind the cash that little like elf looking thing that looks very mid-century, and then I noticed a little Mickey, and then there's one of those clocks that I'm always talking about, and then I noticed another haunting photo. This one doesn't have the convex glass or anything, but I don't know, just. And then when I turned around, I noticed this set of furniture that I thought was very beautiful. So now we're home and I'll show you what we ended up getting. So John got this cane, which seems like a weird thing for a guy in his 30s to buy, but John dresses up like an old kind of like Victorian era vampire every year for Halloween to pass out candy. And so now it's become like a thing where he's going to be known as like the vampire because he's just going to keep dressing up like it every year. And so he thought that would add to his costume. He also bought this book about cats for his bookshelf. He has like 3 bookshelves in his office, like his work from home office, that's just filled with books. So he thought that would be a good one. We're definitely cat people. And then I did decide to get the vintage laundry box. It's not like as cute, I think, as some other ones, but I never see this type of thing. And I am in the process of doing like a little makeover on my laundry area in the basement. It's been taking forever because I'm a perfectionist, but I have made a deal with myself that I need to just finish it like this summer and then just be done with it and be happy with the way it looks. So I'll probably share that. It actually did turn out really good. I even painted my dryer, which is insane, but I painted it a vintage color. I mean, I don't know. I am really excited about it. So I thought this would be a cool piece to add to it. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now. This is a long video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you again very soon.